If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever shown up for everyone else while silently falling apart inside, then stay with me, because tonight's story might just change the way you see your own worth. And if stories about unexpected second chances move your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because sometimes the right story finds you exactly when you need it most. I need your help tonight. The words weren't whispered, they weren't dramatic, but when Adrian Cole, CEO of Cole Industries, said them at his own wedding reception, every clink of champagne glasses seemed to freeze midair. And the person he said them to wasn't the best man. It wasn't a board member. It wasn't even family. It was Daniel Reyes, the quiet single dad who had come straight from his night shift, still smelling faintly of engine oil and baby shampoo. Daniel hadn't expected to be there at all. He was a facilities supervisor at Cole Industries, steady, reliable, unnoticed. For 5 years he had kept the building running. Fixed lights before executives noticed they were flickering. Stayed late during storms. Volunteered for overtime without complaint. At home, he was everything to his 8-year-old daughter, Sofia. Sofia with her messy curls and 2 big glasses. Sofia who taped her spelling tests to the refrigerator like trophies. Sofia who asked every night, "Daddy, are you tired because of me?" And every night Daniel answered, "No, Princessa. I work hard because of you." Her mother had left when Sofia was 3. No explanation, just a note about needing freedom. Daniel never spoke badly of her. He simply worked more hours and learned how to braid hair from YouTube tutorials at midnight. When the wedding invitation arrived, Daniel assumed it was a mistake. But the company-wide email confirmed it. All department heads and supervisors were invited. He almost didn't go. He couldn't afford a tuxedo rental. But Sofia insisted. "You always tell me to show up even when I'm scared," she said, crossing her arms with a seriousness that didn't belong on such a small face. So he borrowed a suit from his cousin and asked Mrs. Alvarez next door to watch Sofia. The wedding was everything you'd expect from a billionaire CEO. A private vineyard, crystal chandeliers hanging from white silk drapes, a string quartet playing softly under golden lights. Daniel stayed near the back, hands folded, speaking only when spoken to. He had seen Adrian Cole in meetings before, sharp suits, sharper decisions. A man known for restructuring entire divisions without blinking. People described him as brilliant, intimidating, untouchable. But that night, Adrian didn't look untouchable. He looked distracted. Throughout dinner, Adrian's gaze drifted across the crowd, not to investors or dignitaries, but to Daniel. At first, Daniel thought he was imagining it. Then, halfway through the reception, Adrian excused himself from a conversation with a senator and walked directly toward him. "I need your help tonight," Adrian said. Daniel blinked. "Sir." Adrian's jaw tightened slightly, like he wasn't used to asking for anything. "My father collapsed in his suite upstairs. The paramedics are on their way. The media can't find out, not tonight. I need someone I trust to handle something important." Trust. Daniel barely spoke in meetings. "Why him? You were the only one who stayed overnight during the blackout last winter," Adrian said quietly. "You kept the generators running for 12 hours. You didn't complain. You didn't leave. I don't forget loyalty." Daniel swallowed. "What do you need?" Adrian exhaled slowly. "My father was supposed to give a speech tonight. It's personal. If he can't make it, I can't give it myself." "Why not?" Adrian's eyes flickered with something almost fragile. "Because it's about my mother." Daniel didn't understand. Adrian's mother had died 2 years ago. The speech was meant to honor her, how she built the company alongside Adrian's father from nothing. How she believed in compassion over profit. How she taught Adrian that leadership meant lifting others. "My father wrote it," Adrian said. "But he's unconscious. The speech is in his suite. I need you to get it." Daniel nodded immediately. "Of course." But Adrian didn't stop there. "And if the worst happens, I may need you to read it." Daniel stared at him. "Me? You're the only person here who isn't here for status," Adrian said. "You're here because you showed up." Upstairs, the suite was chaos. Medical equipment, whispering doctors, a pale older man on a stretcher. Daniel found the envelope on the desk, hands shaking as he returned downstairs. The band played louder to distract from the tension spreading like perfume. Adrian stood near the stage, face composed but eyes glassy. "The paramedics are taking him to the hospital," Daniel whispered. Adrian closed his eyes for one brief second. Then he nodded. "Will you do it?" he asked. Daniel had never spoken to more than 20 people at once. Now hundreds of eyes were turning toward the stage. He thought of Sofia. He thought of every parent-teacher conference he attended alone. Every scraped knee he kissed. Every night he stayed up balancing bills. Showing up when scared, he took the envelope. The room quieted as he stepped up. "My name is Daniel Reyes," he began, voice unsteady. "I work at Cole Industries." A few confused murmurs. "I wasn't planning to speak tonight. But sometimes life doesn't wait for plans." He opened the letter. The speech wasn't corporate. It wasn't polished. It was about love. Adrian's father had written about meeting his wife when they were broke and terrified. About how she sold her wedding ring to fund their first prototype. About how she reminded him that success without kindness was failure in disguise. As Daniel read, something shifted in the room. He didn't sound like a facilities supervisor. He sounded like a father. When he reached the final lines, his voice broke. "She used to say, build something that helps people breathe easier. Not just machines, not just profits, people." Silence. Then applause, slow at first, then swelling. Adrian stood frozen, not because the speech was perfect, but because Daniel meant every word. Afterward, guests approached Daniel, thanked him, shook his hand, but the moment that mattered came later. Near midnight, Adrian found him outside by the vineyard. "My father is stable," Adrian said. Relief washed over Daniel. "Thank you," Adrian added. And this time, the words carried weight. The next Monday, Daniel returned to work expecting everything to be the same. It wasn't. A week later, Adrian called him into the executive office. "I've been reviewing our community outreach," Adrian said. "My mother wanted scholarships for employees' children. It never happened." Daniel listened carefully. "I want you to lead it." Daniel blinked. "Sir, I'm not qualified. You raised a daughter alone. You understand investment better than anyone in this building." It wasn't charity, it was recognition. The Sofia Reyes Scholarship Fund launched that year, covering tuition assistance for employees' children. At the first award ceremony, Sofia stood on stage beside her father, clutching his hand. "You told me to show up when I'm scared," she whispered. Daniel knelt beside her. "You were right first." Adrian watched from the audience. Not as a CEO. As a man who had almost forgotten what leadership meant. Over time, Daniel's role grew, not because of connections, but because of character. He didn't become a different person. He remained the man who fixed broken systems quietly. But now, people saw him. And more importantly, he saw himself. Years later, when Sofia graduated high school as valedictorian, she ended her speech with the same line Daniel had read that night. "Build something that helps people breathe easier." In the crowd, Adrian and his father sat side by side. Because sometimes the most important help we give isn't financial. It's believing in someone who stopped believing in themselves. So if you're the one staying late, the one doing the invisible work, the one showing up even when no one claps, keep going. You never know who is watching. You never know when someone will turn to you and say, "I need your help tonight." And when that moment comes, I hope you say yes. If this story touched you, if it reminded you that quiet strength changes lives, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because the world doesn't just need powerful leaders. It needs faithful hearts.